Are you struggling with connecting with your German colleagues on a deeper level because of the language barrier? Do you feel left out sometimes when they start speaking in German? Working in a German office can be tricky business, especially if you haven't quite mastered the language. But don't worry, I'm here to help you with some useful phrases to impress your colleagues. If you're excited to finally crack the code with your German-speaking colleagues, then give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to stick around till the end of this video, in which I share some important business etiquette that you should know when working with Germans. And if you're new to this channel, I'm glad you found me. My name is Salome and I'm a certified native teacher from Frankfurt. I specialize in teaching German to expats and professionals who want to relocate or who have relocated to the German-speaking countries. So if that is you, then you're in the right place. So make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my weekly videos. And now, without further ado, let's dive in. Los geht's! The very first phrase you'll need when coming to the office, let's say on a Monday morning, is Guten Morgen. Making a lot of small talk is in general not a common thing for Germans, but there are some topics that you can definitely talk about to break the ice. I have a whole in-depth video about making small talk in German here that you can check out next. Now, for the office small talk, very common topics on a Monday morning are usually the weekend, the weather, and updates on the Bundesliga, which is the German soccer league. Now, if you're not a soccer fan, don't worry, there are other topics that you can talk about. A good conversation starter for a Monday morning is to ask about the weekend. For this, you can say, Wie war dein Wochenende? How was your weekend? Or the formal version, Wie war Ihr Wochenende? If you want to learn more about the differences between the formal and informal you can check out this video. Moving forward, I'll teach you phrases with the informal, assuming that you are probably working in a somewhat international environment where the communication with colleagues is usually a little bit more casual. So if you get the question, Wie war dein Wochenende? Asked back, here are some simple phrases that you can use. Ganz gut, danke. Ich habe mich ausgeruht. Schön, ich habe Zeit mit der Familie verbracht. Es war entspannt. Ich habe ein Buch gelesen. Es war aufregend. Ich war auf einem Konzert. Another great way to bond with your colleagues is over a cup of coffee. For that, you can either ask, Hast du Lust auf einen Kaffee? Do you feel like having a coffee? Or möchtest du einen Kaffee? Would you like a coffee? Spending the lunch break together can also be a great way to form deeper relationships with your colleagues. For that, you'll need the expression Mittagspause machen, which technically means to make lunch break. So you can, for example, ask, Wann machst du heute Mittagspause? When do you have a lunch break today? Or wollen wir zusammen Mittagspause machen? Do you want to have a lunch break together? Or if you want to be more encouraging and straight to the point, you can also say, Lass uns zusammen Mittagspause machen. By the way, a common greeting around lunchtime is Mahlzeit. So when you see your colleagues in the hallway or in the canteen, for example, then don't forget to greet them with Mahlzeit. Besides coffee and lunch breaks, there's of course the after work hours during which you can socialize with your colleagues. We call this time of the day der Feierabend. If you just want to know what your colleagues are up to after work to see if they have time to go for a Feierabendbier, you can ask, Was machst du nach Feierabend? So what do you do after getting off work? Or you can also ask, Was machst du nach der Arbeit? What do you do after work? If you want to ask your colleague if they are keen to grab a drink, you can ask, Wollen wir noch was trinken gehen? Do you want to grab a drink together? Or Hast du Lust auf ein Feierabendbier? Do you feel like having an after-work beer? Also, by the end of the workday, it is common to wish your colleagues einen schönen Feierabend, which kind of means like a nice evening after work. Try these with your colleagues and let me know in the comments how it goes. I would love to hear from you. Alright, so we have covered quite a few phrases around starting the conversation and connecting with your colleagues. Let's also dive into some work-related phrases that you can use to show your efforts with learning German. For example, when your colleague asks you to do something or wants to know whether you're working on a certain task and you want to ensure them that you got this and you're working on it, you can say, das habe ich auf dem Schirm. Etwas auf dem Schirm haben literally means to have something on the screen, and it is a colloquial way to express that you're focusing on something or you have it on your radar. It is very common to use this expression also outside of the office. When you want to express that you're super busy or you have a lot of things going on right now, you can say, ich habe total viel die Ohren. Viel die Ohren haben technically means to have a lot around your ears, and it simply expresses that you have a lot on your plate. And another important phrase for the office is to ask your colleagues whether they could forward an email to you. For this, we would need the verb weiterleiten, which means to forward. So you can say, kannst du mir bitte die E-Mail weiterleiten? Let me know in the comments what other phrases you would like to learn, and if you find these a little bit too difficult for your level and you feel like you need to brush up the basics, then I highly recommend joining my 60-minute lesson for beginners, where I dive deep into everything that you need to know to start your German learning journey successfully. The link to register is in the description box below. I would love to see you there. Alright, let's also talk a little bit about communicating with German colleagues. One thing I've noticed that's very different from other cultures or other work environments maybe is that Germans are oftentimes seen as very straight to the point, straightforward, and critical at some points as well. But I think one thing that is very important here to note is that most of the time when you get critical feedback is that most of the time Germans don't really mean it personally. They're always just interested in finding a solution for whatever problem you're facing and moving the project forward. So that is something that I've also noticed that is a big difference between, for example, the German and the Asian work culture. So in Asia, it's a lot more common to kind of beat around the bush and not really saying directly the thing that you want to criticize, or not really directly addressing the problem, and Germans communicate in that regards a lot different compared to other cultures. I think this is something just to keep in mind when working with German-speaking colleagues. Sometimes I know it can come across as rude, but remember, they most likely don't mean it personally. They just want to fix this problem and move forward with whatever task you need to get done. So here you have it, practical German phrases to show your colleagues that you're putting in the effort to learn German, and let me know in the comments below how it's going for you with conversations in the office. If you have found today's lesson helpful, please leave a like, and I'll see you again next week for another German lesson with me. Das ist alles für heute. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss!